I've gotten the head all roughed out. I'm going to start knocking down this because the head's going to be coming out of the body like this, and this will be the highest point of the whole carving. This is going to come down to about here. So all I'm using is I use Swiss made tools almost exclusively. This is a 935, and this will get you removing a lot of material quickly. Like I said, this pine actually, I think it carves easier and better than basswood. And just like basswood, if you got a sharp tool, it leaves a nice glossy finish on it. I'm using a plastic mallet. If you use a wooden mallet, you're probably going to end up damaging the end of your chisels. You can see where I ground down. I was using a wooden mallet before, and I kind of peened over the end of the wood. I've got a couple that I actually broke the handles on, so I switched to just using, you can buy these anywhere, plastic covered mallet. Protects the wood on the handle. I've got a line here. I'm going to carve up to that, and then I'm going to fade that into here on a nice round curve. I'm going to stop short of this line because I haven't gotten this roughed in yet, and I may change how I want it. And this is going to curve around. It's not going to be sharp, so I need some room. If you're going to carve anything but little, basically I call it whittling caricatures or wood spirits or snowmen or whatever that stuff is, you're going to have to get yourself some full-size tools. I remember teaching a class one time, carving a Bellamy eagle, and only one student showed up with full-size tools. The rest of them had little tools this big, made for small little carving, flex cut stuff. totally useless. They were not able to get their carving done on time, and I think there's quite a bit of confusion of what wood carving really is. There's wood carving and whittling. If you're holding the thing in your hand, it's whittling. And you can get away with the small tools. Anything, I mean, this is a big carving. It takes bigger tools, but even my smaller, I always start off with this. And all my tools are full length, full size tools. You can handle them better with two hands. They're stronger, easier to sharpen, and about the only way you're gonna really be able to carve anything smaller than a snowman. I mean larger than a snowman. Now I'm using a mallet, a lot easier to get big chunks off, but this stuff is so nice and easy to carve that and this is all end grain what I'm working on, even though it's on an angle. And carving with the grain, I'm still dealing with end grain right here. So this area here, you can see I have, this is the main outline of the head, but this part here is going to be all blended into the body, into the wings. And this is where it's kind of a good idea to learn how to carve with both hands, so you don't have to turn your carving around. You can just switch hands and keep right on going. And I'm not as good as hitting with the left hand as I am the right, but I can do it. Nothing wrong with a big chip like that. Some people fret and turn wood. You're not really make that work for doing a lot of material. There's nothing wrong with getting big chips out like that. Some people fret and you're tearing the wood. You're not. It really makes fast work of removing a lot of material. So I've got the head pretty much roughed out. This area here is going to be a big void. The feathers will come up underneath there, give it a lot more 3D look. I never just carve it back a little bit and hide it. I try to make it look three-dimensional. So I'm going to cut that out with a jigsaw. I'm just going to cut to the line, and then I'm going to chip away the wood. That's about as far as I can get right now. The feet of the jigsaw are in the way. And to chip away, I'm just using a big, let's see, 40 millimeter number 1. You can do this without using the saw. What do I do with my gouge? Here it is. But it's a lot faster if you split it, and then you go back with your big gouge and break everything off. I finished up on the inside of the head there. It's roughed out. Still gotta smooth everything and blend everything, from here into the wing. Right now I'm switching over to a number 5 sweep, 35 millimeter, and I'm going to start smoothing out the head a little bit so it's not quite so ugly. This is the number 5 35 millimeter. It's great for getting rid of these high ridges that are left over from the 35 millimeter. I almost never use a mallet with it when I'm smoothing out like this. And I'm not looking for anywhere near a finish or perfection right now. I just want to give it a more finished look, so when I'm carving the rest of it, everything kind of easier to visualize. Of course, you always want to use a slicing motion. Even when it doesn't look like it. You know, you go on an angle and it's going to automatically slice and leave a nice smooth finish on the wood. A lot less chance of splintering or leaving a rough finish that you're going to have to go back and correct after, especially if it digs in and pulls out a big chunk. Sometimes I'm tempted to just take the head from here and finish it, but I found over the years it's more than likely Then I'm going to slip with the gouge and put something ugly in the head, and have to go back and cut away some wood and change the shape of it. So do all your roughing first, and then unless of course the head is a screwed on piece, a separate piece. This one's glued on. You can't get rid of it. Can't get it out of the way. In case you're wondering, this is mounted to a carving arm I developed, and you can buy the plans online. You'll see more of it later on, but I'm able to pivot this forward and back. Actually, forward and back, yeah. This one I can't go forward because it's jammed. It's so big, it's jammed right up against my bench vise. But I will be leaning it back later to get all up underneath here, the wings up underneath there. When I get closer to finishing, I will be switching over to a number 2, which is very close to being flat, but it's just enough curve to keep the corners from gouging into the wood. And that will give it a nice smooth finish. You really don't want to try cutting in details like feathers in a rough finish like this. You'll end up without straight lines. The gouge will be following all these little bumps, and you're better off just to spend a few minutes and get it smooth. Alright, I'll finish up here. When I come back, we are going to define the wings from the flags. This is the top of the flag. Over here too. And we'll start working on the wings.